over the years, we as a culture have travelled abroad, not just to get a break and relax, but to get better deals and a wider selection of goods. Sometimes we overindulge and just buy on impulse. However, in recent years, counterfeit goods have become easily accessible in our local towns and cities. Goods like cigarettes, phones and even medicines are being sold at a fraction of the retail price, and making the consumer's euro go that little bit further. But where does this stop? As we Irish know, too much of a good thing can end badly. Throughout this documentary, we meet the people that experience the wrath of counterfeit goods at first hand, before we, the consumer, does.
In these economic times, people will always look to a bargain, and very often now, when someone is going to buy something, particularly young people, the internet is their first port of call. So certainly the opportunity is there, and globally, it's considered that trade in counterfeit goods is increasing year on year. It's very difficult to quantify, but there are estimates that currently it's in the order of 8% of all trade.
Yeah, the association was set up in 2009, and its main purpose is to highlight the extent of the smuggling in Ireland at the moment, and more importantly, the detrimental effect it's having on both the income of shopkeepers like myself and all around the country, but also to the huge effect it's having on the exchequer.
In terms of counterfeit, really I think we need to do more in terms of raising awareness with people. Quite often they import items not realising perhaps that they are counterfeit, or certainly not realising the dangers that are involved. Counterfeit products in general, they pose a number of risks. There is the revenue loss, the safety issues. If you take products such as medicine or even electrical goods, foodstuffs, there are all serious risks involved there. There are a number of modes of transport. Some cigarettes are smuggled in through passengers' baggage, through airports in particular. There are container loads, maritime containers. There is also traffic in car ferries, in private vehicles and in vans, and there's also a significant postal traffic involved. Well, certainly organised criminal gangs are behind the big loads. Smaller consignments are organised on a more localised basis. Often they're sold within ethnic or local communities. So it depends on the nature of the smuggling, but certainly in Ireland, as globally, there is a huge, serious organised criminal activity involved.
They'll actually will print out a price list, flyers, and they'll hand them out door to door. A lot of the cigarettes that come in wouldn't be generic to Ireland, they'd be kind of more international brands. And one of the biggest ones then is car boot sales, where they will sell the cigarettes, and then to get around it they will have the van parked outside the area, and they will use children to ferry the cigarettes and sell the cigarettes because they won't be prosecuted. Like the latest figures are for 2010, the retailers have lost 575 million and the exchequer 430 million. And plus it's estimated that 700 jobs have been lost in the retail because of this, because cigarettes could account for anything up to 40% of the turnover of a shop, depending on the mix and the size of the shop. Just to give you an idea of how lucrative it is for them to counterfeit cigarettes, John Player Blue is only sold in Ireland. It's not sold anywhere else in the world. It's only sold in the Republic. Yet it's worth the counterfeiters' time and money to produce counterfeit boxes and stamps and Irish warning packs just for John Player Blue. Then in Eastern Europe, we'll say Marlboro, which is the only really international brand, and that's the only one you can really compare price. A pack of Marlboro here is €9.10. In Lithuania, it's €1.65. So, you do the math. It's, there's huge, huge profit. And that's why retailers against smuggling were pushing for no increase in the price of tobacco. The previous government didn't increase it for the previous 2 budgets, and things stabilised and actually dipped a little bit. But now with the new increase, it's become much more lucrative again. Say you're on the dole and you don't have much money, and somebody offers you 10 cartons of cigarettes for whatever, and you can make 30 or 40 euro by selling them, you know, to your mates in the pub or whatever. You know, it's hard to blame people, you know, and it's hard to blame people for buying them, particularly again if you're on the dole and you have much money. And somebody, you look and you say, I'm going to pay 9.10, I'm going to pay 3.20. You know, it's kind of a, you know, it's hard to blame people.
Customs are constantly putting a dent in the flow of counterfeit cigarettes entering our country. But having a friend like the internet, we can have our counterfeit goods delivered right to our doorstep. Although cigarettes are the most popular counterfeit product, we Irish try and save money in a variety of areas. With the high costs in our health service, medicines are being imported from other parts of the world.
With customs, we've had very good cooperation over the last several years, and we've had a memorandum of understanding which essentially sets out that we will cooperate together and work together and share intelligence and so on. What happens, the customs people watch for packages coming through, they will put them aside, and our people visit mail centres on a regular basis.
Most of the seizures occur in postal traffic, but some do occur in air traffic and also in maritime traffic, but the vast majority would be in postal traffic. There are customs staff stationed in the main postal depots, and it's not so much really the appearance of the package as the risk analysis and profiling that takes place that directs us to act in certain cases.
There are criminals involved in supplying these, and they will often try to disguise the origin of products as well. But our information is that significant amounts come from India, from Bulgaria, and a variety of places around the world. We have a lot of cooperation with agencies in other countries as well, and we attempt through them to restrict the websites that actually supply these products. In some cases we've been successful in getting websites closed, or at least some of these websites will actually state that you are not permitted in Ireland to order from us. As regards smuggling through the channels in the airport, for example, or on well, particularly through the airport channels, we have heard of product being disguised or in a hollowed out magazine, for example, people with tablets in socks in their bags. Even one case, a child was found coming through the Green Channel with an amount of a sleeping tablet on his person. The one that's given us particular concern at the moment are slimming products, represented as entirely natural and herbal and all good for you, but they actually, quite a lot of them we find on analysis, contain sibutramine, which was in legitimate medicines up to around the early part of 2010, but information showed that there were significant adverse reactions to the product, in particular effects on the heart, and the product was withdrawn across Europe and in fact globally. But we're finding quite a lot of product in particular coming from China. Say very fancy packaging, apparently all natural, but containing sibutramine, and we did issue in the early days of the year a warning to the public about such products. We also see products for treatment of erectile dysfunction, so you see products represented as herbal Viagra. We may see some counterfeit Viagra or Cialis or other products with names that suggestive names, if you like. We'd also see some anabolic steroids as well, likely for people who do bodybuilding as well. But it's fair to say that Customs and the Gardaí are working very well with us and have developed, through our interaction, our enforcement group has been very good at working with them as well and explaining the risks involved here. Some of those we know who carry out these illegal activities think it's some kind of victimless crime, but these are potent products, and they can cause injury or worse still, fatality. One area that we have to keep constantly working at is communication with the public, and getting the message across to them that buying clothes on the internet or buying other commodities that you don't ingest is very different to buying a medicine or a medical device, as these can have real effects on your health.
Whether we know it or not, at some point in our lives we've most likely come into contact with counterfeit goods. It's time to realise that the stereotype of a shady looking character is not on their own selling goods. What about those unemployed trying to make ends meet? How does some survive in this economic downturn? We met with a recent graduate that's struggling to find work and took the risky entrepreneurial route of selling counterfeit goods.
There's not much here for me, so I suppose the best thing is really to get out of here. You know, I'm on the dole like at the moment, and you know, that's less than 200 quid a week, and that's only just getting me by. So the only way I can seem to get a bit of money is just by selling stuff like, you know, on the side. What I sell like is kind of fast moving, kind of popular things like at the moment, like iPhones and stuff like that. Like, find them very, very popular, especially there before Christmas. They're flying like it was the thing that everybody wanted, you know. So stuff like that, and I find I make more like selling these kind of stuff like than I would like in working in a shop or anything like that. Like, so it's kind of handy money really, like, you know, and it's money to the hand. I paid off my student loan like and everything with it, and hopefully now I can just save up a bit more to get my plane ticket.
The Irish economy has suffered a massive blow in the last several years from all sorts of powers. However, we the consumers have to make things right and put our own dent in this horrific downturn. What can we do to take care of our bank balance and even our health?
We'd like to see the public educated about the dangers of them, okay? To highlight again the damage that's been done to our own industry. You know, we'll say a local shop like this, you know, employs local people and supports local suppliers. If we had a huge hit on the sale of cigarettes, which, you know, could be up to 30%, in my case is about 20% of turnover, then the shop would close and that employment would go up. And to lobby the government to ensure that the fines that are in place, you can be fined 126,000 and they're being fined 16,000. It's just not a deterrent to make sure those fines are put in place. And for a kind of, nobody's expecting a decrease in cigarettes, but they must realise themselves that it's coming to the point of diminishing returns, that the higher they put up the price, the more people are going to buy the counterfeit, so therefore they're going to lose money. Like I say, in 2010 they lost 413 million. That's nearly 3 times what the water charge will raise, you know, in a year.
Also, I think given our present economic times, there's an onus on people to act more responsibly and to look at the implications for the country in general, for the economy, for business, for jobs, rather than simply looking for an apparent bargain, which doesn't always turn out to be the case.